holidays, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Spoilers Only. Not only is this our ninth episode, but it's our Christmas episode. So today we are discussing all things holiday, including some of our favorite movies, holiday memories, really whatever fits into the Christmas bubble. So let's get started and let's get festive.
So before we start talking about our movies and stuff, do you have any special Christmas plans for this Christmas?
Well, this year is just going to be a chill Christmas at home with the fam. Usually every year we get up like not too early, but we like to get up and have like a nice quiet breakfast kind of before present opening happens and things get a little crazy. And we're cooking all of dinner this year. So it's going to be a big homemade dinner, which is going to be exciting. And I'm in charge
I
of
thought you said
desserts.
olive dinner. I was gonna say what's an olive dinner?
I actually don't think there will be any olives, but um, not to shame the olives out there. But yeah, we're gonna be making like everything's from scratch, homemade. I'm in charge of sides as well as desserts.
Mm-hmm.
But I love making desserts anyway. I spent the weekend doing some cookies and looking through recipes. So I feel like every like holiday season, it's just me having excuses to bake things and cook things. So
What are you
that's what I
baking?
love to do. I made some chocolate shortbread cookies, which was a recipe from Ina Garten, the Barefoot Contessa on the Food Network. And I also made some iced sugar cookies and some gingerbread cookies.
Right. Okay. So basically, what I'm hearing is I'm invited for dinner.
Of course.
On my
Of
way.
course.
Getting in the car right now.
What are you guys doing for Christmas?
um, I'm gonna go over my grandparents' house on Christmas Eve because we have an annual family dinner. However, there is two this week because my aunt is leaving town uh before then, so we're gonna have dinner with her before she leaves. So pretty much just going over there and probably gonna go with my friend's house, eat dinner over there. I'm pretty much dining room hopping. Yeah, we'll see. I don't think we
There's
have
no
any.
better thing to do though.
Honestly, I get, a bunch of free dinners. So I don't think that I have so many plans like at home. So I'm probably just gonna go for my friend's house and get my dinner and presents from over there. Go to my grandparents' house on Christmas Eve, get my dinner and presents from over there. Going for the dinner, definitely going for the mac and cheese. So
Oh yeah.
excuse me.
Yeah. But are there any like traditions that you and your family do or at least did maybe when you were younger or anything that's kind of anything like any kind of special things that you guys do?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
No.
um No, my main tradition, I guess, is just going over my grandparents' house on Christmas Eve, getting with the family. We all have
Hmm.
a good time and leave at whenever. I
Yeah,
will
I
let you
think
know what's on the dessert menu.
please do. I think for us, like tradition wise, um, because before like all the COVID stuff happened and we haven't really been able to visit family and we haven't really been able to have any family visit us either. Um, we would just we would have either some cousins come in, we would have aunt and uncles come in, stuff like that. Um, and I would always be in charge of the baking. So I guess baking would be a tradition. And also every like Christmas morning, we have like the Yule log on TV while we open presents. That's just
Oh,
something
that's
that we've
really
always
funny.
done, either with or without music. Because I know like Netflix and Hulu sometimes have some with music. I just prefer like the fire crackling noise. That's
I was gonna
always
say, you
fun.
don't have a real fireplace. Just have a little fake one on the TV.
Yeah, I
Pretend
mean,
like you can.
actually, it's funny because I we do have a fireplace, but I'm afraid to use it. I don't like to use it.
I
So
understand that.
yeah, so I just rather if it's digital, much better. I prefer digital.
No, that actually reminds me. I remember at school, that was my junior year in high school. The teacher had put up a projection of the fireplace, the Yule log burning on the smart
Mhm.
board, and then like me and a couple other students, like being dumb, we would walk up to it and like kind of like put our hands like rubber like this, like it was a real fire. So yeah, we just like sit there and go. Uh, I don't know any traditions.
Yeah. I guess tradition, like I guess the big tradition is like celebrating and doing the presents and stuff because that's something everybody can agree with because any day of the year where you just get a bunch of presents, I'm there. So
Of course.
there's nothing better than that. Um, but like, are there any movies that you tend to watch every year, or at least maybe when you were younger, you do like a Christmas movie marathon? Anything that would say is a favorite?
Um, it's really funny because like this past 2 weeks, I was having a lot of trouble trying to figure out what a Christmas movie was. I know what a Christmas movie is, but
Yeah.
I just I'm like, okay, but what Christmas movies do I even know? Obviously, a Christmas movie is a movie that takes place during Christmas, and Christmas heavily affects the plot. But
Yeah.
for some reason, it was really hard for me to find a Christmas movie, so I would have to say probably The Gremlins. I would
Okay.
watch that
Yeah.
movie like 24/7.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. I think something that I always hear, especially on Twitter, because of course there's a debate on Twitter because that's what Twitter is now. It's just
Is this about
debates.
is this about Nightmare Before Christmas?
Well, no, I was gonna say I always see people debating what characteristics make a Christmas movie. And of course you have, A Christmas Story, Elf, Home Alone. Those are like Christmas movies, but everybody kind of fights over Die Hard. Like every year,
I've never
people
actually
say,
seen Die Hard. I think people maybe say that just because, it's funny. It's not a Christmas movie, but like Christmas is present. But I
yeah,
have not seen that movie to be able to tell you, like, yeah, it is or it isn't. I think it's a joke. So I'm just
yeah,
gonna.
I see it all the time because I've seen the first two, but I know there's been a bunch more, and I just kind of don't have the brain capacity to watch all of them because that's a lot. Alrighty, everyone, we are back. I just had to jump off here because there were a lot of sirens in the background, and Inaya and I were getting kind of worried because they were getting louder outside my window. Turns out a Christmas parade just came through my neighborhood
How
with
fitting.
Santa on top of a fire truck, and it was playing Christmas music, and it just how fitting for this episode that there was a Christmas parade outside.
Setting setting it off the right way. They're starting us
Just
up the right way.
absolutely perfect.
I'm glad it
But
wasn't something else though.
that's true. Back to about Die Hard being a Christmas movie or not. A lot of people debate the characteristics of like what makes a Christmas movie a Christmas movie. The thing is, I've only seen the first two Die Hards. Like I had said before, I don't really have
There's
the
more.
brain capacity for all of them. I think there's like four or five total. But I mean, basically, it's about John McClane, played by Bruce Willis, trying not to get killed, I guess, or like trying to save people. At least that was the first one. And it takes place during Christmas. There's like trees and tinsel and lights and stuff around. And everybody says, "Oh yeah, Die Hard's a Christmas movie." And then you have a bunch of people say, "It is not a Christmas movie." So like I said, I have not seen all of them, so I can't really comment entirely. But I guess in certain ways it can be a Christmas movie because I feel like another movie that sort of fits in that realm is Shazam, which is a more recent movie from DC Comics
Oh, that
with
guy.
the with Zachary Levi, and that takes place during Christmas, and
Mhm.
the last scene of the movie is on Christmas Day. So yeah, that's sort of a Christmas movie, but it wasn't really revolve around like a protagonist and antagonist trying to save Christmas or like, help Christmas in any way. It's kind of just trying to survive when like the villain comes to town and Shazam's gotta beat him up. So I think the debates will continue about what is a Christmas movie and what isn't. But when it comes to like basic Christmas movies that I watch all the time, definitely A Christmas Story, Elf, the first two Home Alones, and
The only two Home Alones. But we'll get to that later.
yeah. And a more recent like favorite of mine was on Disney Plus, and it was Noelle with Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader.
I meant to watch
And
that.
it came out a couple years ago, and it's definitely like a tearjerker. It's definitely one of those like mushy movies, but it's really good. It's really good. So that's a more recent favorite movie. But I always like to stick with the classics, and I think if I had to pick like one to watch like for the rest of my life, it would probably be Elf because that was like first favorite, and I feel like that'll always be my favorite.
So I would have to say that my favorite movies, my Christmas movies, are probably the Gremlins, uh, the Grinch, obviously. Love me some Jim Carrey. Elf is a good one too, but I think that those are definitely my top ones.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go back to the discussion of what makes a Christmas movie a Christmas movie. Now, I have not seen Die Hard, so you help me answer this. I feel like what makes a Christmas movie is, would the plot be the same? Or first off, does Christmas directly affect the plot?
You mean
Or
in
is in Die Hard? So, or I'll say, does Christmas directly affect the plot, or is it just a thing that happens alongside the
it's
story?
thing that happens, definitely.
Okay, and would the movie be the same if it was either a different holiday or just a regular day of the year?
In my opinion, probably, but I think for a lot of people, the reason that it takes place around Christmas, because I remember like in the first one, I'm pretty sure that like some of the main action happens at like a holiday party in like an office building or something. Because I just remember seeing a lot of people with like punch glasses. I hope I'm thinking of the right movie, but if it, I'm pretty certain that it is. Um, Honestly, it could have been a Halloween party or it could have been a New Year's party. So, in my opinion, yeah, it wouldn't really change things if it was Christmas or not.
Okay, because I consider Gremlins a Christmas movie because, like, yeah, well, I mean, obviously, Christmas is a pretty huge chunk of the plot considering it happens around
Mm-hmm.
Christmas. And Billy, the little boy, okay, I don't know why, but I always mix up the kid from E.T. and the guy from Gremlins. Because
Yeah.
what was the kid's name in E.T.?
Uh, I thought it was Billy.
Wait, wait a minute. Elliot.
Oh, that's right. See, I saw E.T. when I was like really little, so I space out when it comes to that.
I was gonna say, for some reason, like I can hear like E.T. saying Billy, but I can also like I know that there's that scene in the Gremlins where he goes, I'm sorry. Because now I'm no, because what was the no, because I'm thinking like did he have a name or was he just a Mogwai? Gizmo. I'm so
Gizmo, Gizmo, that's
I
right.
forgot his name. Where is my brain today? Because I knew he had a name. I know he wasn't saying like the Gremlin because the Gremlin's not until after they transform.
Yeah, you can't feed him after midnight.
Also, can we talk about what a Mogwai is? Because what is a Mogwai? Why did this man just have them? Why are there these creatures just on this planet that if you feed them after midnight, they will turn on you, and if you get them wet, they're going to multiply like bunnies.
I guess it's movie magic, as they say. But
I need a backstory. I need a backstory.
honestly, I feel like it was probably like in the production of the movie, they were probably thinking, let's create something that can resemble like a household pet and what, something that we all have, like cat, dog, bunny, whatever.
Cat dog.
But there's all these rules for them. So I always thought when the Furbies were like really popular, I always thought of them as a Furby for some reason.
Maybe something was modeled after it, whichever one came first.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. They do kind of look similar, but yeah, as I was saying, Christmas directly affects the plot. That and hmm
Yeah, Gremlins is definitely a Christmas movie. I will agree with that. I just think that there are certain movies that try to pass themselves off as Christmas movies. And also over the years there's been movies that have like maybe sent like they have a Christmas theme, but Christmas does not affect it at all. And it might come out around Christmas and it tries to pass itself off as a Christmas movie. But sometimes there's just you gotta like stick with the classics and that's a Christmas movie. But I definitely think Gremlins is one.
I
So
mean,
you're right
some
there.
of the Home Alone sequels were not even really Christmas movies. They just kind of happened around Christmas.
Hmm. That's what I'm excited to talk about because I have never seen the sequels. I've just seen like one and two. I don't consider those sequels
I
because
mean, neither. Me
I
neither.
I'm like very excited to discuss these.
I mean, what's really funny, so I've only ever seen like Home Alone like maybe once or twice in my life, the first one, and I have not seen like the full version of Home Alone 2 until a couple like last week. I
Oh,
saw
really?
I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I've never seen like the actual entire movie until
Oh,
recently. And I just decided, you know what? Since I'm, refreshing myself on Home Alone 1 and actually watching Home Alone 2, why don't I watch 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7? I think there's 7.
there's seven?
I want to say that there is. Okay, so I think there was 7 movies.
Oh my
No,
God, I thought there was only like four or five. Wow.
5, 6. There's 6 of them. Because
Oh,
there's Home Alone
wow.
1. There's Home Alone, Home Alone 2. Home Alone 3 came out in 97, and Home Alone 4 came out in 2002. And then there was a Home Alone that came out in 2012 called The Holiday Heist, and then the newest one, which is Home Alone 6.
Wow.
So there is 6 Home Alone
I
movies,
had no
and
idea.
I would say only 2 of them talk about the original family. However, in the newest Home Alone, the one on Disney Plus, the Disney Plus original one, it's it's so stupid because
Hmm.
Buzz kind of has a cameo in it.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. He plays
Yeah.
a cop, right?
Yep. And basically, so in that movie, so the mom realizes that her son is left in whatever city that they were living in, more than likely still Chicago. Um, so they fly to Tokyo. They're flying to
Oh.
Tokyo for Christmas. She realizes, oh no, my son's not here because I think her brother or something just assumed that he was already in Tokyo with the mom, so he just didn't think twice about the fact that he didn't see him when really he was like asleep in the room, of course. So the mom is just like, hey, what on earth? So she calls back to home and she calls the police and like, hey, can you like send a cop to this address? Like I'm in Tokyo and I left my son home alone. And then Buzz goes, haha, that's so funny because like this call's fake because when I was younger, my parents left my brother Kevin at home alone twice. And he calls this call in every year just to prank me. This is fake. I'm not gonna do that. So then they're like, dude, like, we don't care. Can you just like go check on the house? Like, yeah, all right, I'm on it. And I think he's like, when I say drive by, I mean he just drove by. He did not shoot up the block. Let's just. I just I was to say because I was just gonna say he did a drive by, not that kind of drive by.
That's good that you clarified.
Horrible. However, I think that the Home Alone movies are absolutely horrible in the sense that I get that obviously the kids are unsupervised, but they think way too much because I know that if I was home alone and my family, like, went on a trip and they left me behind, I would not be setting up booby traps. I would not be setting up any booby traps if I found out someone was trying to like come to my house and steal something. I would grab like the heaviest thing that I can swing, like say like a baseball bat, um, or something that resembles that shape. Something I can swing, something I can stab with, and something I can clonk with, and make sure the doors are locked.
Yep.
So if I hear someone come to my house, like I'm just not even gonna bother like having booby traps set up. I'm just gonna beat the living skin off of you. And it's considered self-defense. So I just feel like, obviously it's a movie, so it's gonna be, you know, over dramatic, but the kids, they're like, oh no, I'm home alone and someone's trying to break into my house. I gotta defend the house. So they're like basically, doing all these really high effort rigs and whatnot. Yeah, I would definitely just probably take something really heavy and just start swinging it. That night, my dog would definitely have my back. So
Yeah, that's actually an interesting point because that's, I think, the one thing that like the first two, because I say the first two Home Alones because, like I said, I have not seen the others. That's something the first two like missed because I feel like if Kevin had a dog, that would have made for like a little bit of a cuter movie, I think. Like it's just Kevin and his dog saving the house, and he would have that extra layer of protection. But I feel like for me, the first two Home Alones, and while like you said, there can be some plot holes, and like you know how that would literally not be me or you. Like I would just be sitting in my room, sitting in the kitchen. I would just be cooking. I'd be eating a bunch of food, opening, like if it was Christmas time and everyone was gone but there were presents under the tree, I'd just be opening everyone's presents, just minding my business, not
why
really
didn't
getting
Kevin call the
crafty.
police?
I don't know. And I mean, it's so strange. I mean, he didn't want to like, because I guess, in the beginning of the movie, in the first one, he was, people were like blaming him for stuff. And I remember there's a scene where like they're all eating pizza and milk, by the way. They forced everyone to drink milk with the pizza, which that's just
What?
wrong.
What in the public school lunch?
But like but side note, that's just wrong. But anyway, um there's a scene where they're all at the dinner table and Kevin does something like there's like a little bit of a fight, and oh yeah, he's in a scuffle with Buzz, and drinks and stuff get spilled on the plane tickets, and it's just a complete mess, and they sort of banish Kevin to his room, and he basically says, I wish I lived alone. I wish I didn't live with you guys. And then he
That
wakes up
scene's
and
so funny because
he
his mom's
sees
just
that,
like, "You're gonna regret that." He's like, "Psych."
yeah.
Say it again. I don't love you. And then he wakes up and they're like, oh, and they're gone. And
He's like,
then they're all like, "Oh no, my son!" And he's just like, "Yeah,
yeah,
yeah."
right. Making like ice cream sundaes, and he orders a lovely cheese pizza just for him, which you don't know how many times I've quoted that. Like if I'm ordering pizza, I'm like, huh, a lovely cheese pizza just for me. But this time, no milk, because that's stupid.
Yeah,
Should only have soda
that's
or
also
water.
disgusting.
Not even water. Just a nice cold, like Diet Coke or something. Coca Cola. Sprite. The
Literally,
list goes on.
literally anything else but milk.
Yeah.
Like, I can feel like that it's just gonna absolutely destroy your stomach. But
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So
Back to the Christmas movies.
I
Before we had our little milk discussion.
all I have to say is I don't like milk. So what I think is really weird is just the fact that, okay, so I think that I literally just watched this movie, but for some reason I can't remember certain things. So the mom did call the police and was like, "Hey, can you go?" And what did he say? Kevin,
Are you talking about in the first one?
yeah.
She calls from an airport phone. And they like she was speaking like really fast, and so they like transferred her to like family services and then back to like a cop and then family services, and it kind of goes back and forth. And basically she said, hi, we were on a plane to Paris, and my son is left alone in Chicago in our house. Can you please send somebody to check on him? And they're like, oh, you want us to send a cop to check on your son? Like, it's like they kind of got sarcastic with it.
I get what they mean because it's like we're not babysitters. However,
Yeah.
if you guys were listening to the phone call, oh my God, you would understand that he's not supposed to be home alone.
No,
Make
he's
sure
supposed to be
the
in
house is still
Paris.
there.
Yeah.
First of all, the mom's the real villain in the movie.
How so?
Because, okay, so I just feel like the way the arrangement should have been in the beginning of the movie. So obviously Kevin and Fuller were supposed to sleep upstairs on the pull-out bed in the
Hmm.
attic. But instead, he was like, "Hey, I don't want to sleep in the bed with Fuller. He's gonna pee all over me. That's so weird." So she's like, "Okay, well, I'll put Fuller somewhere else." Um, which is also why in the second movie he's like in the king size bed by himself
Yeah.
because everyone else on the floor. But that's a anyway. So he goes upstairs by himself. I just feel like since he is the one of the youngest kids, I feel like he shouldn't be on the top floor by himself. You should have put the oldest kids up there, and then the younger kids like closer to the parents' bedroom.
Hmm. That's
That way, they can be better supervised since he was literally only 8 years old.
mhm. And I was thinking there's a scene in the first one where they are getting ready to go to the like the little shuttle is picking them up outside their
I was
house
gonna say, oh, I
to
have
the
more,
airport.
but yeah,
And well, no, I was just gonna say
yeah.
she lets one of the young kids be in charge of like doing the head count, and they miscount. She should have done the head count because she
I
would have
was gonna
gotten
say,
an authentic number.
I was gonna say, like, why would you have someone? Why would you send someone to do something that you can do yourself? I know that you're like in a rush and whatnot, but you're not really doing too much. Plus, you know that your daughter or niece, whoever it was to her, is not going to do a good count because she is like she's a teenager. She doesn't want to do that. So like, which is like,
Hmm.
all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, blah 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 blah. Blah. All right, the truck.
Yeah,
And
lots of plot holes.
I was gonna say that, and they count like the little neighborhood boy whose back was turned. Like the mom would know. Like, no, 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 turn around. I want to see your face before you get on the. And
Yep.
also, first of all, why does their power keep going out? Coincidentally,
Right.
before like a huge trip.
I think
Um,
I think there was like a windstorm. I think it knocked out the power line. But still, it's too weird. It's too weird.
yeah, I just feel
And
like oh,
it also kind of makes you nostalgic for alarm clocks in a way, because if they had a phone, this wouldn't be happening.
that's what I was
So,
thinking. I was saying, although
yeah.
it was 1990, so they didn't have phones to set alarms on, but they had alarm clocks. And I just feel like if you know that you have to get up early tomorrow because you're going on a huge family trip, you got to be up early to get 15 people ready and also gets to the airport on time to be able to be at the gate before takeoff and boarding. Why not put batteries in the alarm clock so you can ensure that this alarm clock will be working in the morning?
Yes. Batteries. Yes, that's a
And that
great point.
they could they could have done that in the second movie. No, they still had the plug-in alarm clock because considering this thing happened to you when you guys went to Paris, I would be super paranoid that it's going to happen when we're going to another trip the following year. So they wake up like, oh no, we slept in again. That's because you
Yeah.
guys didn't learn from last time. You could have used batteries. You could have, had an arrangement. And since you left your son um in Chicago when you guys went to Paris, they made an improvement in the second movie. Kevin actually made it to the airport in this one.
Yeah.
However, he was at the wrong gate, and it was not his fault in that movie. He just, got mixed up. He saw a guy in a similar coat and was like, "That's my dad." I
Yeah.
just feel
And
like,
I was gonna actually ask you the different locations between movies one and two. In the first one, they are going to Paris. In the second one, they're going to Miami. Do you
Miami.
think that the events in one led them to pick a location that was within the United States instead of an overseas trip? Do you think that had
No,
any?
I feel like it's more like they blew all their money on an international trip for Christmas, so they have to pick a cheaper destination. Because they sent like what? It was like 15 people in the house. First of
Yeah.
all, I'm not watching that many kids. Y'all can kill me. Anyway, they're sending, 15 people to Paris.
Hmm.
First of all, flights are not cheap anyway. International flights, super not cheap. International
In
round trip flights?
1990?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I wasn't alive, so I don't I don't know what the plane fares was, but like not only is it a plane trip, it's an international one, a round trip one for 15 people. Your job must be paying super good at that to be
And
paying for
and
all
the
that.
house too. Their house was like a mansion almost.
I feel like that
That's like
house,
such
like
an iconic
I feel like
house.
I feel like it was a family house because there's no way that they have a house that big and it just like was had so much stuff in it. It has to have been a family house.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was something that
Probably.
I get the vibe that it was a family house, but like I said, they definitely blew all their money on uh the Paris trip, so they had to pick a cheaper destination.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Because I mean that must have cost a fortune, and I get that like I get that a lot of people do trips for Christmas, which is cool. Um, but I like presents. Give me presents. I don't
I
need
was
to go
gonna say
anywhere.
I would like to go if it's a Paris, yeah, and actually
Yeah.
please make sure you take me. But no, I just feel like they could have definitely done so much more to ensure that their son actually made it to the right destination.
Yeah. I would have been like the neighbor kid who was outside and he was like, "Bring me back something French." That would have been me.
Me too. I do it every time. My dad's like, yeah, for his job, he's basically like a truck driver or whatever. So whenever he's like, yeah, I'm going to like California or something, and it's never for leisure, but I'm like, dude, like bring me back something. Like I don't care if it's like a rock off the side of the highway, just bring me back something.
Yeah. I always do that because my aunt and uncle,
It's a
my
rock
uncle,
from
uh,
California.
they they usually do a lot of traveling, and my aunt recently went to Scotland to visit her daughter, my cousin, and the first thing I said was because they were going to Scotland, and
Can they take me with them next time?
there was like a sort of like a layover in Dublin, Ireland. And so I remember my mom and I were talking to her and we were like, "Oh, bring me back something Irish." And my uncle travels a lot for like his business. So he went to Germany and it was always like, "Oh, bring me back something German." I love like the thing that we always say though is like sweatshirts. Any
Oh,
kind of
that's
sweatshirt.
perfect.
Yeah. That's like the perfect gift cuz I have too many sweatshirts but I keep buying them and I have a problem, but I don't care. I have like all these sweatshirts with all these destinations. Some of them I've never even been there, but I don't care. It's a sweatshirt. I want it.
I would definitely like take a sweatshirt, a t-shirt, um, a little trinket. I don't know, something,
Oh yeah,
something cool.
definitely. So tell me about the other Home Alone movies, because I'm very eager to discuss
I
this.
Okay, so I will go in order. Obviously, you know Home Alone's 1 and 2. Home Alone
Yes.
3 was the one that came out. That was the one with the little boy. This one was so weird. It was so weird because like okay, so it came out in 97, and instead of it, you know, following obviously the McAllisters, it follows this little boy. His name was Alex. And also to mention Scarlett Johansson's in this movie. She played Alex's older sister.
No
Um,
way.
yeah, she's obviously she played his older sister. Her role was pretty insignificant, but that's because obviously the movie follows Alex. So this one was really weird because it felt very much like a not really action movie, but like you know that general vibe that you get from like 90s action movies.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Okay, so it feels like in very obviously 90s action kind of that's that vibe that I got from it. I can't really think of the other word that I used to describe it, but yeah. So this one was probably the weirdest one out of all of them. No, it wasn't. Um, but it's definitely yes, it is. Okay, so this one follows Alex. So the movie starts off with his neighbor, who we later find out is his neighbor, who's an old woman, and her package gets mixed up with someone else's at the airport, and she takes home instead of I don't remember like it was like bread or something. She takes home a race car, and she's like, okay, well I have no use for this, so we meet Alex, and he's like shoveling her driveway or something, and instead of giving him cash, she's like, well, I have no use. I got the wrong package at the airport and I have no use for this. So here you go. So he has a little remote control car. We come to find out that inside this remote control car, there is a microchip well, a not micro, it was pretty big. There's a computer chip that was hidden in it, tucked underneath it to as part of the disguise. And it's like this military, like Air Force. Yeah. It's this
Really?
military Air Force missile chip or something. And when Alex finds out that it's in there, he already noticed that like other people's houses in the neighborhood was getting broken into because he was watching through his telescope. And he noticed like, well, I don't know you, and that dog is not your dog, that's my friend's dog. And I've seen these people like go into other people's houses. Also, to mention, he is staying home alone because his siblings are at school, his mom's at work, his dad's out of town, and he's at home with chicken pox.
Hmm.
So that's why he's home alone. He notices that houses are getting broken into. So he's like, oh no, a burglar. So he calls the police. Police don't believe him. Well, they show up, and when they see that there was no signs of any burglars, they're like, listen, kid, you can't do that. And he's like, I wasn't lying. What are you talking about? So next day, he sees the same people. Mind you, they have like, so the woman is either walking a dog or is walking like a fake baby stroller. This baby stroller has a baby doll in it, wrapped up in a blanket, and she's like jogging through the neighborhood. So that's how they're like surveilling the place. He sees them again. He's like, hey, burglared. What the heck? Police are like, listen, man, you gotta stop that. And his mom's pretty upset about that. So I can't think fast enough. I'm so sorry.
No, this is like so different than the than the
It's
first
so
two.
it's so intense.
Wow.
It's so weird for no reason. Okay, so he notices the pattern So Alex notices the pattern that, they're breaking into these houses, but they're not taking anything. So obviously they've got to be looking for something. And that's when he's messing with his toy car, that's when the chip falls out of the car. So he's like, maybe they're looking for this. And then he notices that they're going to like each house on the street like in order.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows like, oh, well, my house is next. So then while his mom is his siblings are at school and his mom's like at work or something, he rigs the whole house up. And then, these neighborhood hoodlums, they're breaking in. But no. Before that happened. So they're in someone else's house. He decides, if you guys don't believe me, I'm going to um I'm gonna record them. So he gets the card and then he puts a video camera on the car. He duct tapes the video camera to the car and he drives to the neighborhood and he records them like sneaking in the house and like breaking in and doing criminal stuff. But then they see the car. So they start
Mm.
chasing the car. So and obviously, he doesn't know why they're chasing the car at this point. So, you know, it's weird. I'm sorry. My okay, so my thought process keeps like speeding up and then like I'm like, okay, this, and it slows down and I
Yeah.
forget everything for like a good 6 seconds. So
No,
please
I
forgive
know
me.
what you mean. I mean, it's that just sounds completely different from the
It
others.
was
And is
so weird.
there's basically no like trip involved and there's not really any Christmas stuff involved, or does this happen around Christmas time?
It happened around Christmas time, and that's what I meant earlier by they weren't really Christmas movies. They were only I
Mhm.
feel like they're only Christmas movies because Home
It
Alone's
was
1 and 2 were.
yeah.
So obviously the sequel has to still have that same touch, but this just happens around Christmas. It was in the winter time, and they open presents at the end of the movie, and it's like another car, and then so he gets like the same. So his dad comes home from his work trip and he brings home his present. He's like, "Hey, buddy, I got you something," and it's another little race car. And he's like, "You know how to work?" He's like, "Sure do." And that's because he was over here like doing like some X Games type flips with his car while trying to record the burglars.
He's on X Games mode.
Really, it was so weird, dude. It was so weird. They're all on Disney Plus.
Ooh,
So
well,
please do watch them and tell me what you think.
I think I will have to because I'm intrigued because I just figured that it was like a different cast because I knew that 3 and above were like different casts, but I did not realize that like the military was involved with the third one.
Yeah, so okay,
Like
also
what?
in the movie so the little boy he calls up the Air Force or like the government or whatever, and he's like, "Hey guys, I found a chip in my car." And they're like, "What are you talking about? You stop playing on our phones." So no one's believing him. But then like in the end, the Air Force or whatever, like the FBI or whatever, like goes to his older siblings' schools and they're like, what? So the mom comes in like, hey, what do they do? Like, no, it's not about you. Your son could be in danger. Not these ones, but the other one. And they're like, what? And they're like, you tell us what it is. And like, I can't tell you. That's like confidential information. And then Scarlett Johansson's character just like slams the door shut. Like, that's my little brother you're talking about. You better tell us what's going on, mister. And then he tells him, and then they're like, whoa. So my little brother like saved the world or whatever. It was so
Oh my God. Well, so basically he just like calls up the government and says, "Hey, I got a chip in a race
I
car."
I found there
Wow.
yep, he's like, I found a chip. It says Air Force. I don't think I'm supposed to have it. It wasn't a part of the car. It was like, like on little remote control cars, like you can kind of take off the shell
Yeah.
to reveal like the insides.
Hmm.
I was like, it was just placed on like right underneath the shell just to hide it.
Wow. I was
So
not expecting that.
told you, man, it gets so weird, so weird.
So
Like
like what
think like adolescent spy by movie.
like Spy Kids sort of.
You ever seen Oh God, what was that movie called?
I was gonna say, like, did any of them have any sort of redeeming qualities at all? Or they were just, it kind of just got worse as each movie went
Well,
on?
kind of.
That's a shame.
No, they're
That's
just
a
not really.
shame.
No, that one was okay. So Home Alone 3 was fine because it was an actual movie. However, Home Alone 4, that's when it starts to decline. So Home Alone 4 follows Kevin McAllister. Yes, they recasted the family, and it follows Kevin
Oh,
in this one. But for some reason, Buzz is so much more mean. Like, the mom goes um to work or something, and Buzz is obviously in charge to watch Kevin. So Kevin's basically torturing him. He's like pushing him. He's slamming his fingers in the trash can and laughing at him. He's like, throwing towels. Like, so Kevin's like walking down the stairs, like with like towels folded up, and then Buzz just kind of smacks him out of his hand,
oh my
being
God.
an absolute jerk. Like the original Buzz would never do that. They were
So
just picking, but that was
it was a different actor playing Buzz.
yes, but I say
Okay.
all different actors.
Okay.
And for some reason in this movie, like the parents are divorced.
Oh.
Oh, so yeah, the parents are divorced. So we find out that they have been separated for 8 months, but their divorce has not been finalized. But the dad is getting engaged to his new girlfriend after
What?
8 months, and his previous marriage has not been completely divorced.
Well, that's just not correct. That's not how it works.
I was gonna say that's just so messed up. The fact he's like, yeah, I'm getting married, and it's like it's been 8 months, and we later find out that the divorce has not even been finalized. It's so weird. But so in this one, so the dad's like, okay, well, what if I have the kids for Christmas this year? Like, like, ignore that. Um, drop something. He's like, okay, so what if like the kids come, meet Natalie, that's his new girlfriend, come hang out with us on Christmas, and Natalie's like, she's super rich. She has this really huge, luxurious house. It's like a mansion. It's super high tech. And the mom's just like, haha, say no, kids. Tell your dad you're not gonna go spend Christmas with him. And they're like, nah, I'd rather stay. Well, she doesn't say this directly. She kind of gives him like, she kind of looks in like in her
Yeah.
head. You can see like, please say no, stay with me. And then they all stay with her mom. But then Kevin's just like, I kind of don't want to stay here with Buzz because Buzz is literally torturing me, and that's horrible. So he runs away to Natalie's house. He gets there. So, Kevin's dad, the dad calls the mom, and she's like, "Hey, thanks for letting Kevin, like, come over. Like, I'm so grateful." And then she's just like, "Oh, right. I'm glad he made it over there safely." She didn't even know he left. So in that scene where the dad calls, she's looking for him, and she says, "How many times can I lose this kid?" You were, you
Wow.
were. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Anyway, so we find out that Marv is back, and for some reason Marv is married
Oh.
to a special lady friend who was played by Missy Pyle, who played, you know, you might know her from, she played Violet's mom in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes, I'm familiar.
Yes, so she plays Marv's wife, and basically, they're instead of them robbing Natalie's house, they decide to kidnap someone from the royal family, because I guess a royal family was coming in town because Natalie's like this, socialite or whatever you want to call her. So she's always having parties, and there's this one huge Christmas party that was coming up, and they're like, "Hey, the royal family's gonna be in soon, so how about we just like say forget the thievery, let's just kidnap him." And then Kevin sees Marv, and he's like, "Oh no, I gotta stop this." So he ends up flooding the house. Natalie gets mad, and then Natalie's just like, "Yeah, you've got to stop." At first she's just like, "It's okay, what's a little mess?" But then later on, he's still acting. They think he's acting out, and then she goes to him at night, and it's just like, listen, kid, you've got to stop acting out, because if you want your dad in your life still, you've got to start behaving nice, because everyone's parents divorce. Deal with it. But if you want your dad in your life, you've got to start, you got to turn your attitude around. And I'm like, whoa, okay. The hostility came out of nowhere. I'm thinking maybe she's like in on the kidnapping gig. However, I was watching this with my friend. My hypothesis. Well, I had a hunch about this movie. So she has both a housekeeper and a butler. The butler was mean, super rude to Kevin. Did not like kids, you can tell. And he just was kind of just wasn't present whenever Kevin was calling for help. Whenever the burglars was in the house. I was like, okay, I feel like it'd be a little too obvious for him to be in on the gig. It's definitely got to be the nanny, or like not the nanny, but the housekeeper, because she was a little too nonchalant whenever Kevin came to her for help. And she was also she would leave and be like, "Hey, I'm going to the grocery store," and then come back with no groceries. And also the house keys that they have is like these little smart keys, where basically it's like a little voicing where you just go, "Door open," and then the door would open. And we saw that the Marv and his wife, lady Vera, that Vera was her name, they had one. So you know that someone was helping them from the inside. And basically, in the end of the movie, the dad, I think, decides to call up the engagement and then goes back to his family. Either he does that, or he's just like, I'm gonna spend Christmas with my family. It was
Strange.
it was it was upsetting. It was a really upsetting movie, just because it was weird. And it makes sense that it makes sense that the movie was kind of absolute not good. It was garbage, because you realize, or I looked it up, and it's a straight to TV movie.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, because it's a straight to TV movie, so the budget was a little.
So give me a summary of the last two that you checked out, 5 and 6, because I have heard things about the newest one, and I was watching like Entertainment Tonight like a couple weeks ago, and they played like a trailer for it, and I was like, this isn't going to be good. So I'm eager to hear about that.
Okay, so 5, I'm gonna try to wrap it up. Okay, so 5 was really weird. So it came out in 2012. It was another straight to TV one.
Okay.
And it followed this little boy. I forgot what his name was. It was called The
Straight to
Holiday High.
TV, was it on like the Disney Channel
No, it was
or?
ABC Family, or Freeform, excuse me.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah. So this one follows Finn Baxter. He basically was obsessed with video games, And so he's obsessed with video games, and obviously his sister's like obsessed with phone. So his sister's a teenager, so they get left home alone. I think the parents go to a event with like the new boss or whatever. So they've moved from California to Maine, and they're like, "Oh, this place sucks." So they're in this new house, and then there's these burglars who are trying to get in their house to, get something. Finn finds a weird like safe door in the basement, and he thinks like the house is haunted, because it says like "dead leg is watching you," which was like a gangster or whatever who like used to live there, and then he
Oh.
he kind of hangs out with this little boy across the street to try to. His parents like force him to go outside and hang out with this little boy across the street who was playing in the snow, and he tells him like, "Oh, I'm not going. I want to hang out with you, but no offense, I'm not going in your house. Like, your house is haunted, and here's why." So I guess like it's like local legend or whatever, that like an old gangster with like he's died in the house, and burglars are trying to get into the house to try to get to what we later learn, a painting in the basement. So they sneak in the house for the first time. And so Finn is like, "Yeah, dude, mom, our house is haunted. Like, I don't know what to do." But so he puts like a little piece of gift wrapping paper on the basement door. So, if the door was open, it would be ripped, and they leave to go to the store to get a Christmas tree. They come back and find out that the paper is ripped. However, the only people that believe him, well, the only people who does not believe him is his mom. His dad was like, yeah, that is weird. And his sister was like, dude, I watched him put that there, and then we all left the house. So with it being opened, that's a little scary. So, but at first they just were not straight up believing him. So the reason why it was ripped is because the burglars came in the house and they snuck into the basement, and then but when they opened the safe, that they saw that it was not like, it was just like a little empty space, but it was a secret door within the secret door. So the parents go to this little work event to go hang out with their new boss, and then the kids are left home alone. The little boy, he's like, listen, man, my house, oh, he hears burglars outside. He tries to set up booby traps after playing his video game by himself, annoying his sister. He plays a video game loud, and he's like, I'm eating junk food, I'm playing video games, blah 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 blah. And his sister's like, I don't care, I'm gonna go to the mall. But before they do that, he shows his sister the thing in the basement, because I think he dropped the battery in the basement, and he makes his sister go down and get it, and then he shows his sister the hidden safe, and she's just like, what, that's so crazy. And then she reveals that there is a secret door behind there, and obviously, so I guess Deadleg was a bootlegger, because there was like a bunch of like bootleg wine or whatever down there, and there was this really ugly painting. So she picks up a bottle of alcohol, and like I guess it set off a trigger, and like the door closed, so she was locked down there while the little boy was upstairs playing the game. He thinks that she is at the mall. He thinks she's at the mall, but she's really in the basement. So when he hears someone calling his name, he's like, oh no, what is that? Mind you, he's talking to this guy on his Xbox, who's like this grown man, and it gets a little weird, because eventually he was like, dude, my house is being broken into, like, please help me. And he's just like, oh, what game are you playing? Like, ha 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 ha.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then he realized, like, oh, you really are a 10-year-old boy, and your house is really getting broken into. So he realized that the little boy was left home alone. So while the little boy is like, setting up his traps and whatnot, the guy on the game, he says that he hacked the kid's gamer account, and then went to go see what phone number was registered with the account and the credit card number. So he calls the parents and says, hey, so I'm so and so. I hacked your kid's gamer account, and I saw this phone number was associated with the credit card number you used on this account. So I just want you to know, like, your house is being broken into. And he's like, so the mom freaks out. She thinks like, this guy was like the one breaking into his house, and like, and he's like, no, 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 your daughter's like in the basement, like he needs help. And she thinks that like, oh, you kidnapped my kids. Oh no. So then the SWAT shows up to his house. So basically, the mom swatted this man. And
So far this didn't have anything to do with Christmas.
It took place around the Christmas season.
But they make no mention to it, because that's what it sounds like.
Not really. Not really. It was like it was a Christmas party that the boss was throwing, but all in all, it was just a work get together. Like I said, they make these movies Christmas themed just because the first two movies were Christmas themed. They keep I'll say it's just the same formula of, oh, kid home alone, kid makes booby traps, adults get like the absolute brains like beat out of their skulls, but they're still alive. In the end, mama comes home, oh, glad you're okay. The end.
Wow.
Oh, and also it's Christmas. So yeah. That was that movie. And the newest one on Disney Plus. So for some reason, the family in here is British.
What?
Yeah, the little boy was British. So they go to this open house. The mom and the son go to this open house viewing. And the guy who is selling the house, he shows a little boy like a box of dolls, And then the mom goes, "Hey, I've seen that doll on like one of those antiquing shows. Like, it's really. I heard that they're like, really expensive. Like, if you were to sell it, like, blah 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 blah, you get like $20,000, whatever." Or she said $5,000, and he was like, "Huh." So later on that day, he goes back to find the doll, but the doll's gone,
Oh.
and he thinks, "Oh no, the little boy stole my doll." And the little boy, he's at home alone because he got left there. Because as I was explaining earlier, with like they're going to Tokyo, the uncle's just like, "Oh, I just assume you went to Tokyo yesterday with your mom because I didn't see you today." So the guy decides, "Oh, that little kid, I'm gonna go to their house and I'm gonna like, go get my doll back because that little boy stole it." So he knows that they went out of town because he actually went over there at first with the intentions of talking to them, but they were all leaving town or the country. And so the uncle that was, house sitting or getting all the kids to the airport, he says the code out loud
Mm-hmm.
to the security system. So the guy is just like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go in there, disable their alarm, find the doll, and just leave." Don't not knowing that the little boy is there home alone. So the boy sets up, typical Home Alone thing. He sets up some traps, but it comes to find out that he actually does not have the doll.
Oh.
Yeah, so they pretty much get like the brains beat out of their bodies for absolute nothing. And they're like, "Oh no, this is bad. So you're like home by yourself. Like, where are your parents?" And then somehow they make amends, like, "Oh, that's okay. Like, you can come to our house, and wait for your mom to come back in town because sure she's like looking for you." Sure enough, next day, mom comes back and like, "Oh no, miss you, love you. That's so sad that that happened." They go back to the house, and she's pretty upset that the house is pretty much in shreds. Fast forward 1 year later, they're having dinner together because I guess the guy, like, so they found the doll. They found this little ugly antique doll. Another family that they were hanging out with, I think that they were like gonna interested in selling the house to. Her son just had it, and just that's it. Her son had it, and they were like, "Oh no!" So they sold it for like $200,000.
Wow.
Yeah, I know that was like a speed run synopsis, but
No, I mean it's
so
crazy to think of how the first two are, and these just sound so like it's the same, like you said, it's the same model, it's the same sort of plot, but they just sound so drastically different. But
I
now
was
now I want to watch these and just see how they are, like the acting and
you
stuff.
good. You should. They were kind of good in the sense that they were bad, but it was funny. It was fun to watch them.
Yeah, like it was entertaining still.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, thank you for such a wonderful run through of all of those
That's our
because
entire
it actually
episode. Is
kind of
just
made
me
me
explaining Home
interested in it.
Alone. I would
I
have to
mean,
say
what
Home
better
Alone 3
way
was probably my favorite because it was
what
so
better way
weird.
to what better way to like, kind of ring in the season. There's nothing there's nothing better than just talking about Home Alone. But you said Home Alone 3 you enjoyed out of
Yeah,
those?
just because it was so weird. And also, can I just say that every single person that was a burglar in those movies, they definitely would have died because they got set on fire, exploded, electrocuted, like with high voltage uh bricks thrown at their head that were being tossed off of a
Yep.
building top, slammed on their head, been impaled.
I don't
They would
even
have.
know how they like survived the first two, honestly. And also the amount of like work that Kevin put into all of those things, especially in the first two movies, and the amount of pain that they suffered. I mean, you'd think that like especially in the first one, you'd think that that would sort of turn them away from a life of crime. They
I
don't
was
want to
gonna.
be bandits anymore.
I was gonna say I know that if I was in their position and I just got like I don't know, the life knocked out of me basically and then knocked back in the way that they did, I would be like, "You know what? I'm done." Because if it means that this could probably happen to me again, I'm done.
right? Like this isn't for me. I'm moving on. But this was really fun, and I think that we were meant to do it. We were meant to talk about these things right now because having that Christmas parade come on by, I mean, that was just a great sign.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was. This has been quite the eventful um evening. So I guess that pretty much wraps up this episode of spoilers only. We got to talk about some of our favorite Christmas movies, and also I broke down all of the Home Alones for Becca, which were an absolute mess, but I do highly recommend if you've never seen them, but also have no interest in seeing them because the fact that they are horrible sequels. Please do watch them because they are horrible sequels. It makes it all the better.
And
Anyway,
I second that because that's a very good idea, especially if you got some time off with the holiday. Just go ahead and do it because I know I am. So
thinking about that scene from the first Home Alone where Kevin makes the huge sundae, I kind of want ice cream right now, but my mom has my car. I can't go to the store right now. I'll text my mom and I'll ask her to bring home some ice cream.
I kind of want a cheese pizza now.
I have a
But
pepperoni pizza in the refrigerator that I brought home from work.
tasty. But yes, this has been our very special Christmas episode of Spoilers Only. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to us talk about Home Alone and lots of other fun Christmas things. If you want to, please give us a like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Please give us a follow at Spoilers Only Duh on Twitter, and there's a link tree so you can see all of the platforms that we're on, like Spotify and Apple and iHeartRadio, and you can find it all from there. Give us a follow, and we both wish everybody listening a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and a great holiday season.
Yes.
So this has been Spoilers Only.
Last Christmas. A Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. 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 Okay.